No one is ever going to pay you
to look at this.
No one is ever going to pay you
to look at this thing.
pay you
To look at this thing. To look at this thing. To look at.
Things are already as bad as they can be, and I don't need this. Needless to say, we're not friends anymore. I mean, he barely uttered the words, and a week or two later, we got a confirmation from Mall at Carnival that they were going to pay us a rental fee for the exhibition. This would cancel out the copyright and make photographs or photography of the art free for all. So basically, they paid me a license to be able to allow their customers to take photographs of the boat. So okay, it wasn't a fortune, and I'm not going to say how much. It barely covered costs. Our next step and our next move, I mean, it was so stupid. Things you learn on the tour. We had arranged for our next show to be in April of 2018. That would be the launch of Tintanic in Gauteng Province officially. And it was going to coincide with the Titanic anniversary, which is the 14th of April. So, of course, we decide to come in on Good Friday. I don't know how we didn't think that through, because on Good Friday, there were 3 trucks that cancelled on us in the same day. I mean, nobody wanted to work on Good Friday, especially not through the night. So, I mean, I was scurrying about, and I eventually found a tow truck service. So, you know, these trucks that go out and pick up your car when you're broken down next to the road, that kind of thing. I got them to load the Titanic onto this open air truck. They were also, you know, pressing me for time. Like, you know, oh, it's just going to take 3 hours. Well, they have no idea how long it takes to load a boat. It takes as long as it does. I mean, you can't just pick it up and put it on the trailer or the truck, and there you go. Bob's your uncle, in half an hour, you're offloaded. It's a delicate artwork. It's worth a lot of money. We've got to tie it down with ropes, especially if it's not an enclosed vehicle. You have to come up with ways of fastening it and making it absolutely, you know, safe to travel with, because you don't want to get halfway and half of the boat's missing. So, I mean, they were all getting cranky and upset. When we got to Mall at Carnival for the offload, it was basically chuck it off the truck kind of stuff. And that really annoyed me, because, you know, I still had to spend the whole night building it, and then I still had to be there the next morning in pointy shoes for the opening act. It took 3 years. So it was very difficult, the first move into Mall at Carnival, and, you know, but it was, as expected, it was a very big hit. The space that they put us in was angled. So the whole floor was angled at like 10 or 15 degrees, you know, in the particular part of the mall. And it kind of gave you a feeling that you were walking downhill, like you were walking on the sloping decks of the Titanic. So that was interesting as well. And when the show ended in Carnival, I had to rack my brain, and I reached out to people at the Benoni Care Center, the Manger Care Center, and they were interested in, you know, hosting Titanic just for like a weekend or something as a fundraiser, because I'd done a show there in the past when I was still a singer, and I thought I was Michael Jackson and this was it, and it obviously wasn't. I said, well, look, you know, we'll do this as like a, you know, a thing for, you know, the people that are there. The Manger Care Center does amazing work in rehabilitation, getting people back on their feet and teaching them a trade. That was what I loved. They had like a large hall, and they had these chandeliers that come out of the roof, and they had all these paintings on the wall in gorgeous frames and whatnot. And it really was a positive environment to bring Titanic to. We did that as a charitable event where we would give back. So any proceeds that we made out of it, you know, half of it went to the Manger Care Center and the other half came to us. Being used to touring now, you know, touring in inverted commas, you expect to be there at 8 a.m. in the morning, pack out, get ready for the show, do the whole show the whole day, and then at 5 o'clock you start packing up again, and it's just exhausting. The Manger was a different setup, because we literally had like a weekend show, and it was advertised in, I think it was the Benoni City Times or something like that. They did a wonderful little article for us in a video. It was just amazing, because I mean, I got to waltz in there at 10 a.m. in the morning, and by like 2 in the afternoon, we close our doors and we go home, and it was just relaxing and peaceful, and that's exactly what I needed. Again, while all this was happening, I was rushing up and down doing, you know, other deals. I was running to other shopping centers, and I was emailing around the clock. It's a pity that some of the well-known shopping centers in Gauteng didn't participate in this, but I also get what marketing managers are saying. They don't want to repeat or duplicate an event or an exhibition because it's been done before. I got into the car and I went to go and see places like Greenstone. They were very much on the list and they booked it immediately. Greenstone was this airy, beautiful, big place, and it had this wonderful glass dome overhead that kind of reminds you of a giant glass dome over the grand staircase of the Titanic. But this obviously was over escalators and the food court, and they had this second story veranda that went all the way around, and you could look down on the boat from above. And that had never been seen before. So I loved that concept. But Greenstone, I believe, followed Killarney. So Killarney did it first and then Greenstone did their show. Killarney Mall was an interesting one as well because it kind of reminded me of a giant toy shop, you know, where all your dreams come true. And, you know, it was quite interesting. Even there, it was a difficult move to maneuver the boat in through the mall to where it needed to be. But it was a fun mall. Everything that they had in there, all the little shops are very interesting and very cute and very quaint. Some of them were a little pricey, but it's everything that you needed. And it was located in like the heart of Johannesburg. And I really kind of made them my Joburg stop. From Killarney, we overnight moved the boat from Killarney to Greenstone at the end of the Killarney show. That was so funny because the day before, when Tintanic was in Killarney, there was a man who walked past the Tintanic in Killarney Mall, and the next morning he showed up at Greenstone to go and do something, and it was like, is this the same thing that you've got at Killarney, or is this a duplicate? Do you have like a second one? So that was interesting. I loved that. I must say, out of all the shopping centers where Titanic featured, Greenstone was the best. I mean, it was just full, chock and block packed every day. And we were so busy making jewelry in the car. You know, we were making merchandise in my car to supply the demand for merchandise. Well, of course, we all knew that it wasn't going to last forever and Greenstone was going to come to an end. When Greenstone did eventually come to an end, I was actually at my wit's end. I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Do I, you know, because no other malls are interested in this, you know, in Gauteng. So, you know, this is a problematic. It's problematical. We got this little venue out in Germiston, which was called the Beer Co. It's right next to the South African Airways Museum. And, you know, I mean, you mentioned the word museum to me, and I am in. I'm there, baby. I managed to arrange a deal with the restaurant, the Beer Co., for like a third class exhibit kind of thing. And that was such a difficult venue to move into because you had to kind of go around the back over this little, you know, rocky, stony like terrain and through tables and stuff because it wouldn't fit through the front door. And the boat just fit in there. I remember they even did a special little ramp for the Tintanic's bow that came off this, you know, elevated section in the restaurant, and this thing just gracefully like held the bow out. Although it's all aeronautical and it's, you know, aviation related, you know, this was a boat. And it was there, and we kind of left it there for like 3 months. And I remember at that time as well, oh gosh, there was so much stuff going on and going wrong in my life. I had this little car, and the gearbox broke, and it all just fell out. I had to replace the gearbox on my car because it just went grrr. That took about 3 months to fix. And of course, in the background, now I'm already working on coastal tourist stuff, you know, in the background. I'm working endlessly and tirelessly, and I was so happy that we had gotten booked for East London at the very end of it. There was talk about South Coast Mall. They were also doing the show, and they'd all been pre-booked like almost a year in advance. So I'd known that, okay, we were going to go to the coast at one point. I had the boat out of the Beer Co. after 3 months, and I put her into storage, and I thought, well, that's it. That's it for the Gauteng tour.